Lions win the shootout versus the Chargers 41-38. And this was a game where all the stars got involved. I mean, Jared Goff, 23 for 33, 333 yards, 2 touchdowns. Justin Herbert was 27 of 40, 323, 4 tubs, 1 INT. David Montgomery ran the piss out of the ball, 12 for 116 and a touchdown. Amon-Ra had the day of his life. 8 catches, 156 and a tub. Keenan Allen, 11 for 175 and 2 touchdowns. And, of course, Austin Eckler coming in, 19 carries, 67 yards, and a touchdown. These teams combined for more than 950 yards of offense, but there was no defense, and even to the point of there was no sacks on either quarterback in this game as well. But the Chargers are the biggest story of this game as they continue to have horrible defense and coaching despite all the talent on this team. And we've heard them, we've talked about it. They have the most expensive defensive depth chart and roster in the NFL. Khalil Mack, Derwin James, Asante Samuel, Joey Bosa. I get it. Some of those guys might not be on the biggest contracts, but they still spent a lot of money with a defensive-minded head coach in Brandon Staley. They're still 4-5. They're still giving up 393 yards per game, which is second worst in the NFL. And to even put it in perspective, the only team that's worse is the Denver Broncos. And the Denver Broncos stats are so skewed because of the 70 burger they gave up. The Broncos are literally giving up 21 points per game since that 70 bomb. So we can just go ahead and say that Brandon Staley, as a defensive-minded head coach with the most expensive defensive roster in the league, has the worst defense in the NFL. He's got the 9th worst defense in terms of defensive points per game, giving up 24. So basically, your offense can walk in, put up 3 touchdowns on a field goal, and 400 yards on a defensive-minded head coach. And it doesn't feel that bad necessarily when you look at the schedule and the final scores, but the Chargers are 4-5. They're not going to make the playoffs playing this type of football. Justin Herbert is on a very big contract, which we know one of the most valuable things in the NFL right now is a rookie quarterback contract. That's why the 49ers are in love right now. Literally. 4 of their 5 losses have come by 3 points or fewer, unfortunately, for the Chargers here. The Chargers defense went without a takeaway for the first time since week 2. That put an end to an 11 straight game streak that the Chargers had played without losing the turnover battle. That was the longest active streak in the NFL. Up until that point, no one was better than them at winning the turnover battle. Justin Herbert only had 1 interception, but it was ugly. It proved to be kind of the deciding factor. He threw it early on. Now, he did make up for it with that throw to Keenan Allen on that first touchdown. Had a nice 3rd and 5 scramble for the first down in the third quarter. He had a nice touchdown pass to Jalen Guyton as well in the third. I thought he read the safety very well on that play, and he threaded that ball inside on the inner half of the other safety. The throw on the run to Quentin Johnston, I thought was really great as well. So, Herbert was Herbert in this game again. All the stars came out and played very well. 4th and 1 touchdown pass to Keenan Allen was an amazing, beautiful play call. I love the pre-snap motion. I love the PA rollout and just Justin Herbert using the instincts there to put the ball in the end zone. But the Chargers were great on money downs. They were 7 for 14 on 3rd, and they were 3 for 3 on 4th down. There were 8 total attempted 4th downs in this football game, and only one of them was not converted. The Lions were 4 for 5 on 3rd down. Again, the Chargers 3 for 3. Justin Herbert passed Peyton Manning, who had 16,418 yards for the most passing yards through the first 4 seasons of an NFL career. Justin Herbert now holds that record. You look, he was 6 for 11 for 43 yards with the pick on the Chargers' first 4 offensive possessions of the game. First 4 drives. Justin Herbert was bad. 6 for 11, 43 yards, an interception. And then Justin Herbert goes on 21 of 29, 271 yards, 4 touchdown passes, and led the Chargers to touchdown drives on their final 6 possessions. The Chargers came out and played. And, outside of the defense, as oxymoron as that might sound, they played well against a good Lions team. They played well against a Super Bowl contending Lions team. Now, I know they're going to have questions about Dan Campbell and Jared Goff, but the Lions are a damn good football team. They are elite. They are a top 5 cream of the crop team this year. But to show how Justin Herbert, unfortunately, can give you all of those numbers, and it doesn't necessarily pan out. This is Justin Herbert's 25th 300-yard passing game in his first 4 seasons. He's only 13-12 in those games. Justin Herbert can come and play his life out, 300-plus yard passing. He's 13-12 in those football games. He had the chance to make the record better in this game, obviously. But to know that Justin Herbert can have that type of production and still fall short, you got to eventually start to take a look at Brandon Staley. Again, Ben Johnson, Eric Bieniemy, Frank Smith, like all of these offensive coordinators, go get them. Go hire them as a head coach. Offensive minded head coaches are clearly what ruled today in the NFL. Now, Jahmyr Gibbs played a solid game too. He got fed like crazy on the first touchdown drive of the game. A lot of big chunk plays from him. I know fantasy owners are very, very happy. David Montgomery had his way as well. And the Lions are running the football very well. They're a top 5 team in yards per game running the football this year. And let's just talk about Jared Goff too. I mean, the guy's so comfortable playing like the former number 1 overall pick in his vintage Rams days. It kind of feels like he's better. You love the energy with Dan Campbell. This is an aggressive, gritty football team. They're young. Yeah, we all like Sean McVay over Dan Campbell, but let's give Dan Campbell his respect and his flowers for what he's doing with this Lions team. Jared Goff is just a great quarterback right now. On the next show, I'm going to do my top 10 quarterbacks as we get into, I guess it'll be week 12 at that point of the NFL season. Absolutely crazy. Now, the Lions were 4 for 13 on third down, but again, 4 for 5 on fourth down. They had 2 fourth and goal conversions, 533 yards of offense, averaged 8.3 yards per play and 6.5 yards per carry. Sam Laporta continued to make a name for him. He had the fourth down grab to keep the game alive. And the Lions controlled most of this football game. They never trailed in this shootout, and they held the ball for the final 3.5 minutes of the game. So that shows you Dan Campbell, he can be aggressive, but he can scale it back, be that managing, head coach, have Goff be that manager and not let the game get out of control, just like we were talking about the Ravens. Dan Campbell, speaking of him, is very aggressive. And, the fact that he trusted his offensive line to protect his quarterback in order for him to make a play in plenty of situations in this game. And you talk about his aggression. He had the 4th and 1 after the interception that Justin Herbert threw. Turnover on downs on the 1-yard line, wasn't able to convert it. Next drive, the exact same situation for Dan Campbell and the Lions. Punches it in, stays true to himself, stays true to his play calling, punches it into the end zone on the ground. Now you look, Detroit's got the Browns, the Packers, the Saints, and the Bears all up next. I think these are all winnable football games. They might run through my Saints. I think they'll run through the Packers. The Browns, I think, could be one that they are definitely going to be in for it on. And then the Bears, hey, they've got Tyson Bagent. Maybe I'm just thinking about that because of what the Bears damn near did to us in New Orleans. And we're getting ready to talk about the Saints next, don't you worry. But Browns, Packers, Saints, Bears are up next for Detroit. So these are all winnable football games.